What's going on YouTube? It's Pico.Blurred back again with another video. I know I've been gone for a little bit. School has been super busy and I've been prioritizing school versus my YouTube, but I'm trying to get content when I can and so I can post for you guys. So this is my dude. He's a barber. He needed a haircut desperately. So we went ahead and fixed that for you. So let's jump in to the haircut. I miss you guys. Let me say that I missed you guys. I miss posting content on a consistent basis, but like I said, school is my priority so I can get licensed and then I can continue to make content for you guys. But here I'm sectioning off his hair, just laying it where he's going to be styling it. So I'm putting the final styling so I can cut the hair directly in that style. So here I'm creating a perimeter around his head. He doesn't want anything off the top really, so I'm just taking whatever hair is hanging over the sides, because he said when he got it cut last time it was heavy on the left side so it can comb over to the right, but he wanted everything to be even. So I'm basically just cleaning up the shape around this haircut and giving myself a point to stop my blend for the taper. He's getting a bald taper on the sides and back, just a clean, nice look, making sure everything is looking nice and the shape is looking good. And you guys see me when I'm doing this, I'm point cutting just because I don't want to leave a harsh line there, rather than blunt cutting. If you blunt cut across, that means you'll have to go back in and kind of detail it to make it look nice. So I just went ahead and point cut it so it flows directly into the bottom below the parietal ridge. And here I'm taking hair that's combed over to the right and I'm just making sure that it is a square shape. It's going straight off the hair on the sides so everything blends in perfectly together. I don't want a bunch of overhang hanging over the right side where the hair is combing over, so I'm just pulling everything square and knocking all the hair that's sticking past that line. And here I'm doing some shear over comb, just hitting the ends so it blends in a bit better. Even though I did point cut it, there were still some dark spots. So I'm just cleaning everything up to make sure that everything looks blended and there's not any lines of demarcation or too much bulk. So I'm just gonna let you guys watch this until we get to the top. We're just gonna make sure everything's even on top and then we'll bust into the taper. So since I pulled everything to each side, I pulled the left and to the right side. Now to make it even, there's gonna be some high spots, some longer length in the middle. So we're just gonna pull everything up to the middle and then cut everything that's hanging out of that guideline. You should be able to see it pretty clearly since you cut the right side and the left side. You'll just see a peak in the middle and you'll just cut that off. All right, so now that everything's even on top, I'm just preparing for my taper. So I'm making sure the hair is all dry so that I can cut easily with my tools. So here I'm setting in the bald guideline. I'm not setting it in too high. He wants it kind of lower, so we're keeping it pretty low. The reason I set it with my trimmers is because it gets closer to the skin than my clippers. Now my tools all are set precisely. They are zero gapped, so I can take out whatever line I put in with my trimmer. But like I said, I like using my trimmers because I can get a more precise line, a more clean line, and then I can shave all the hair off pretty easily with my trimmers. So here I'm setting in my next guideline with my clipper all the way open, and I'm going up about an inch, spreading it out a bit so that I can get a good gradient blend. And the way to do your fade is you set in your guideline and then you take it out with that same step. So I put it in open, and then as I go down within that guideline, I'm closing my lever little by little until I'm at the bottom where it should be all the way closed and the line should disappear. And so when I'm doing these steps, so when I'm putting in my guideline, I'm pretty much using the full blade so I can get as much hair off as possible. But then when I'm fading it out, I'm using mostly the corners because it's gonna attack every other hair. It's not gonna have the full blade. You're using the corners to blend. So if you wanna create a guideline, use the full blade to clear bulk, and then you use mostly the corners to blend that hair out. And guys, here's a tip for you to be able to see what you're doing. Always have a comb or a brush so you can clear out all the hair that you just cut out of that guideline. You want to be able to see what you're doing, so have a comb or brush so you can brush that hair out of the way and then continue your fading steps. So after I'm happy with my blend, then it's time to move on to my next steps. Here I take my number 2 and I'm kind of going off the shape of his head. I just want to clear out bulk because it is sitting really heavy in the back. I didn't really need to clear out bulk on the sides as much, but the back is super thick and had a bunch of bulk. So I'm just clearing out the bulk so that when I do put in the rest of my guidelines, I can clearly see what I'm doing. And again, with this 2 guard, I'm going off the shape of his head because I don't want to go into the round of his head. I'm trying to blend into what's already there, all the bulk above his occipital bone. So you'll see me kind of flicking out. And so here I take my 1.5 guard all the way closed. And again, I'm setting in a guideline about an inch up, always following the shape of my initial guideline. You want to follow that shape because it's going to make the fade more uniform and overall more polished. In my opinion, if you set in your guidelines very clean, that just means that your fade is going to be clean as well. And all right, same thing as before. So we set in the guideline with our 1.5 guard closed. So now I like to take my half guard with the lever open at the top and blend down, closing the lever little by little as I go down until that bottom line is gone. The reason I jump straight from my 1.5 to my half guard is because I can blend straight from my half guard into that 1.5 guard. I don't have to use my number 1 guard. I just know how my clipper guards work. I know how my tools work. So if you need to use your number 1 to soften that area up, go ahead and do that if it makes it easier for you, and then come back in with the half guard and just make sure everything is cleaner, because in my opinion, the number 1 guard isn't going to take that guideline all the way out. So I'd rather just jump into my half guard and blend that guideline out. And so now that that is all blended out, I'm taking my number 2 guard with the lever open, and again, I'm creating shape. I'm blending into the bulk near his parietal ridge, making sure that everything flows nicely into the top. And to really get that transition popping, I'm using detail work with my 1.5 guard. So I'm with the lever open and I'm using lever play, really using those corners and breaking the hair up to be able to blend guidelines out, to be able to blend bulk out. You need to break the line. If there's a line that's going across, you need to break past that. That's the only way that the line is going to look blended. If you don't go past that line, you're not cutting any hair and you're not blending it out. So you have to break that line. So I'm using a lot of corners. I'm just detailing all the dark spots, any bulk spots that I see, to make sure that this blend is looking extremely gradient and everything is flowing nicely into each other. So I'm just gonna make sure that all my steps are clean, all the areas where I'm doing my taper is nice and blended, because I'm gonna come back and refine that with some shear over comb. So just watch this, take some notes, and I'll see you guys when we get to that step. All right, y'all, so the blend is pretty much done. So now I'm gonna edge up all the way around, because it helps me see things that I wouldn't normally see before the edge up. So I do my edge up and then I go back in and do my precise detail work. So when I'm doing my edge up, I'm combing the hair past the natural line, and I'm just knocking everything that's hanging over that natural line. You don't wanna push the hair back, because when you do that, the growth just does not look good. You want to keep it as natural as possible, but still get the darkest line. So you really have to use your eyes. You really have to see where that hair is laying and where the natural hairline sits. And then you just knock off all the hairs that are hanging over that. And to really help you guys with this step, I use my trimmer kind of like a pencil. So I'm etching in a line, I'm drawing in that line little by little, using mostly my corners, until I see that line is sharp and nice and natural. Again, keeping it really dark. I'm not pushing in, but I am getting a nice sharp line around his C-cups, around the edge of behind his ear, everything. So I'm taking it little by little. I don't want to take off too much hair all at one time. I kind of want to put it in small sections, just making sure that everything is nice and sharp. And to really get that line nice and sharp, you want to comb out the hair multiple times, because hair gets pushed out of the way when you're using your trimmer. So you want to keep brushing out that hair past the line, knock off any hairs that are sticking out, go ahead and brush it again, and then just continue using your trimmer and making sure that there's no stray hairs hanging over the edge up. Just look at how that C-cup turned out. That thing looking sharp. And here I'm really showing you that I'm going back over it multiple times, and you'll even see me comb it back down, and you'll see hair sticking over. I'm just gonna knock those out, make sure that the line is looking nice and crispy. And guys, if you made it this far through the video, I hope you really enjoy the content that I'm pushing out. Please hit that subscribe button. It's free. That's the best way you can support me and support this channel, is just hitting that subscribe button. So go ahead and consider it, man. Appreciate you. And so now I got the fade looking good. I got the edge up looking nice and crispy. I saw a little bit of darkness above my taper, so now I'm doing some detail work using shear over comb, just making sure the blend is looking nice and uniform. No bulk is hanging over, there's no hair sticking out, there's no lines in the blend going up from the taper up to your bulk up top near the parietal ridge. So I'm hitting shear over comb. It just helps me be more precise than using clipper over comb. Sometimes clipper over comb can take out too much hair or even leave dark spots because it's not hitting every single hair. So here I have a little bit more control using shear over comb, and I'm just combing out off the shape of the top of the taper and just hitting everything that's hanging past my comb. And I just want you to see the difference that made. It made the taper just look so much better. And that's the level of detail that you need to be able to surpass the rest of the barbers. The barbers are just gonna leave the taper as it was, but we want the premium cut. So we're going back and detailing and make sure it looks perfect. And now he did want a beard edge up, nothing trimmed off, just an edge up. So I went ahead and hit him with a hot towel just to get his skin and his hair follicles soft and ready for the razor work. It's gonna make the razor work a lot less hard. It's gonna be able to glide easily across the skin. So now we're hitting the edge ups, we're hitting everything, just making sure that everything is natural and dark and sharp. And so when you're doing your razor work, you want the blade to be at a 45-degree angle so it glides nicely across the skin, and you need to make sure that you're stretching enough so that you have a flat surface to work on. You need to stretch that skin so that blade can glide easily over that face. And guys, if you notice, I have a lather towel on his shoulder. That's just to wipe off all the excess hair and gel when I'm doing the shave. You need to have a clean razor so you can see, one, so you can see what you're doing, and two, so the razor doesn't have anything blocking it from doing what it needs to do. You need to clean off your razor so you can glide across that skin and knock off all the hairs that you're meaning to knock off. If it's cluttered and dirty with all that hair and gel, it's not going to perform as it's supposed to. But all right, y'all, I'm hitting the finishing touches with my trimmer. I'm just going under the neckline, making sure everything is nice and sharp. All the hair under that is cleared away, making sure in front of the ear is nice and symmetrical and nice and crispy. So after all my razor work is done, my beard work is finished, I hit him with some peppermint oil to really soothe the skin. And I hit him with a super cold towel straight out of the fridge. It's gonna close all the pores and lock in that moisture into his skin, because after a razor shave, your skin is gonna be a bit irritated. So you need to lock in moisture, put it back into the skin so he can leave without having any irritation at all. And bam, there you guys have it. That's the finished product. Look how that taper turned out. The haircut is looking good. His beard work is looking good. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, hit that subscribe button. That's the best way to support me. But it's your boy Pico.Blurred. I'll catch you guys on the next video.